The two common mistakes I see students make when they see exponent questions like this are: first, because we are asked to simplify this into a simpler form, what they do is they will express this like this: 4 exponent 3x to the power of negative 4 multiplied by y raised to power 5. First, this is wrong. The second common mistake that students also make is when they want to express this, they will neglect the constants and they will consider only the variable to be affected by the exponent. This also is very wrong. Here is the right way to solve this. We are given a question, parenthesis, 4x to the power of negative 4 multiplied by y to the power of 5, all to the power of 3. One major thing that we need to note is that the whole of this inside this parenthesis are all affected by this exponent 3. So we need to find an equivalent simpler form of this. Let's understand what we are given. First, we have a constant 4. We also have a variable x to the power of negative 4 and also another variable y to the power of 5, all to the power of 3. So we need to raise each of these to the third power. In order to solve this correctly, we need to make use of the power of a product rule. The rule says that if you are given two numbers inside the parenthesis raised to the power of n, that this is also the same as saying a to the power of n multiplied by b to the power of n. The exponent affects all the components of this parenthesis. Example, if you have parenthesis 2xy exponent 3, this is the same thing as saying 2 to the power of 3 x exponent 3 y to exponent 3 to the third power. So our original question, which is this 4x to the power of negative 4 y to the power of 5 all to the power of 3. To expand this using this, we have 4 to the power of 3 into x to the power of negative 4 to the power of 3 multiplied also by y to the power of 5 to the power of 3. So we will now simplify each of these factors. 4 to the power of 3 is the same thing as saying 4 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. So this is 4 times 4, 16. 16 times 4, this will give us 64. So 4 to the third power is 64. Let's look at the next factor, which is x to the power of negative 4 all to the power of 3. There is a rule that says whenever a negative number, let's say a, is multiplying another number, a positive number, the result is always a negative number, a being negative ab. So when we apply this into this, we will now have that x to the power of negative 4 all to the power of 3 will now be x raised to power negative 4 multiplied by 3, which will give us negative 4 multiplied by 3 is negative 12. X raised to power negative 12. This is the second factor. The third factor, which is y to the power of 5 all to the power of 3, y to the power of 5 all to the power of 3. Using the same method, this is also y to the power of 5 multiplied by 3, which is y raised to power 15. One thing I forgot to say is, in this step, try not to add the exponents. Students make mistake of adding the exponents. They may consider this to be x to the power of negative 4 to the power of 3. This is not the same as x raised to power negative 4 plus 3. Don't do this because this step will be wrong. This is the right way to do it. Multiply and not add. Putting this all together, we'll now have that 4 to the power of 3 into x to the power of negative 4 to the power of 3, open parenthesis again, multiplied by y to the power of 5 exponent 3. So here we got that our 4 to the third power is 64. So write 64. Our x to the power of negative 4 all to the power of 3, we got that to be x to the power of negative 12. So this will now be x to the power of negative 12. Our y to the power of 5 exponent 3, we got that to be y exponent 15 to the power of 15, y raised to the power of 15. This is not our final answer. If you look closely, you will still see that we have a negative exponent. So we need to take care of it first before we can call it a day. In order to remove the negative exponent, we will use negative exponents rule. If we have a number, say a raised to the power negative n, this is the same thing as saying 1 divided by a to the power of n. So this is an inverse of a to the power of n. So we'll apply this in this. So the question now will now be 64. X exponent negative 12 is the inverse of x to the power of 12. That is, this will now be 1 over x exponent 12. We'll bring down our y exponent 15. To expand this further, this will now be 64 multiplied by 1 multiplied by y exponent 15 all divided by x exponent 12. So this will now be 64 y exponent 15 all over x to the power of 12. And this is our final answer. So one thing to note when solving questions like this is that the outside exponent, in this case 3, must go to every factor inside the parenthesis. If you understood what we did, I would like you to try this. Parenthesis 3a exponent negative 3, b exponent 4, close parenthesis, all to exponent 2. Comment your answer in the comment section. Also, click the like button, the notification bell so that you'll be notified when our next lesson drops. Also, if you have not subscribed to this channel, kindly subscribe because we share lessons like this. See you on the next one.